So yeah, let's move to Kyrie. There were a few reports that the Heat and the Suns both have offers out to the Cavs for Kyrie. Uh, I'm not sure exactly what the Suns package includes, but it looked like the Heat were willing to trade Goran Dragic and I let's see, Justice Winslow. Is that? Am I thinking correctly? Yes, Justice Winslow. Um, Personally, I'm not sure who comes out on top on that trade. Um, you know, I think Goran Dragic is a great point guard. Um, Obviously, he's not where Kyrie is. Kyrie, for all of his deficiencies defensively, he plays overall really good basketball. An understatement, but um, Goran Dragic is really good. He's fairly athletic, um, and from what I've seen, he's a decent defender. Um, and it seemed like the Heat drafted Justice Winslow because LeBron had said he wanted to play with him back when LeBron was with the Heat. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that that's a good deal for either team, or do you think that neither team really comes out on top in that?
Well, first off, I just want to jump back really quick before I answer your question and clarify my comment. I looked it up. Jordan Morris was not in the super draft. So I just want to make sure I'm keeping my facts straight. Then to answer your question, I don't see Kyrie really going to the Heat. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. Anybody wants Kyrie, but for the Cavs, I think they could get a lot more for him. I like Goran. He's a great scorer. Justice Winslow's, he's got some grit. He can play. But I see it kind of as sixes. I don't think that the Cavaliers definitely would not get any closer to Golden State with that trade. And I think that as far as the Cavaliers are concerned, any trade they make has to get them closer to Golden State. Number one, to keep LeBron in future years, and number two, just to even have a chance at the title. We think they can get to the finals fairly easy, but trading Kyrie and not getting at least as good of players back it doesn't make sense, especially where Kyrie is still under contract.
Definitely. I think that from what I'm seeing, I do not think the Cavaliers are going to trade him. I don't think that they're going to want to get rid of him. I think that they could easily, and I probably think they should, because there's plenty of teams that are willing to throw away everything for a player like Kyrie. A lot you've noticed that throughout the years you've seen superstar players who want trades that are able to get huge amounts of players in return for that. With the Kevin Garnett trade to Boston, there were, I think, 12 players involved, and they sent KG and one other player to Boston for 10 players and a couple draft picks. That's crazy.
It's a brand new roster.
Yeah, really. They got a ton of players in return. And I'm not saying that Kyrie Irving is on the level of a future Hall of Famer in Kevin Garnett, but he's definitely a very good player. And so I think that at least right now, the Cavaliers are expecting to get at least four or five solid players for Kyrie. And that's really, to be able to compete well, they need that. I do really like the Heat trade. I think Goran Dragic is a very underrated player. He is well above average defender. He's a good scorer, and he's a lot better passer than Kyrie is. So I think that plays better into how LeBron wants to play. But in the long run, Kyrie, I feel like, gives them a better chance to beat Golden State because of his scoring ability than Goran Dragic does. And so I don't feel like that trade makes a whole lot of sense. And I just don't see a lot of teams being able to give up the amount of players that Cleveland thinks that Kyrie's gonna demand.
Or
Well,
wanting
six teams
to give
have
up?
tried. 6 teams have submitted offers. The Suns, the Knicks, the Spurs, the Clippers, as well as the Heat. They've all submitted offers for Kyrie. I personally, if he does leave, I think he probably goes to the Knicks or, honestly, the Sixers. The Sixers just seem like they're the type of team that they'd be willing to deal Fultz for Kyrie along with some other picks. They just kind of seem like that's what the Sixers would do. You know, they seems like they'd go all in for a player of that caliber. We've seen them, tank or make dumb trades. And I just think that, you can't mention a huge name trade without at least throwing the Sixers around in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I looked it up. And the Suns, it looks like the report is that the Cavs would have made the trade with the Suns if the package had included both Eric Bledsoe, Josh Jackson, and a future first-round pick. And personally, if I were the Suns, it doesn't seem like the Suns would give that up. And if I were the Suns, I definitely wouldn't. I think that is a bad trade. I really like Eric Bledsoe. He's not quite to the level of Kyrie, but I think he's an excellent player. And then, like Chase talked about earlier, Josh Jackson is just seems like a special player. So I definitely wouldn't do that either. And it seems like the Suns won't.
Yeah, definitely. And Josh Jackson, Josh Jackson has the potential to be a transcendent player, has the potential to be a player on the level of Carmelo and LeBron. His athletic ability is off the charts, and his defensive ability is better than LeBron's, which, when LeBron got drafted, wasn't a great defender, had the athletic ability to be a good defender, but just didn't try as hard as he does now when he first got drafted. But Josh Jackson, you can tell, just busts his butt on defense, has the conditioning to be able to play every single time on defense, play hard, play well, block shots, gets in passing lanes. Just you watch him and you can just tell how hard he plays. He plays hard. He's pedal to the metal all the time, and it's just fun to watch. And he's definitely got the ability and the potential to be a transcendent player. So giving up both Bledsoe and Jackson, I feel like I'd give up Bledsoe if I was the Suns, but Jackson and Booker would be on the zero, no, don't even bring up, because you're going to get rejected automatically if you bring up Booker or Jackson, because those two players are the type of players that you want to build around, that you have to build a team around. And so, everyone else on the roster,
especially with no long-term commitment.
Yeah, exactly.
With no long-term commitment, unless it's somewhere where Kyrie says he wants to play, I wouldn't even be bothering to try to trade for.
Yeah, exactly.
But they'll get, just real quick, also, you talk about a couple great players, and I think this could be a great draft class. Like, you look at the talent that's in there with Josh Jackson, Lonzo, even Donovan Mitchell, Fultz. I think that this draft class could be special. I think that it could be talked about as one of the greatest, depending on how everybody reaches their ceilings.
Definitely.
Yeah, probably the best draft class since the draft where LeBron and Carmelo and all of those great players were drafted that year.
2003.
That would be the year. Thank you, Chase.